guys, we just got back from Boy Kills World, which stars Bill Skarsgård, who vows revenge after his family is murdered, and then goes on a big killing spree, blood-soaked, action, film for total vengeance. And man, I was thinking, wait a minute.
Crow comes out later this year.
This is The Crow. And yes, the story is very similar to another Bill Skarsgård film coming out later on this year.
Different kind of love.
Crow. Right. And so I've seen the trailer for this. I saw the trailer, and I kind of had to dig for this. Usually as movie reviewers, I check every week to see if there's a movie worth covering. Because I didn't really see any marketing for this film.
This is a long time ago, but
long time ago. Yeah, I think probably because that it's not on anybody's radar. It's probably going to be underviewed. Barely anybody in the theater when we saw it. Of course, we saw it at 10:40 a.m. on Friday because there wasn't a showing on the Thursday night that was reasonable for us. So what I'm saying is I think it's kind of flying under the radar. I don't think it'll break box office. Nah, this is probably going to underperform, frankly. However, I think that's a shame because I liked it. I went in expecting a revenge, blood-soaked revenge story. I got that, surprisingly, in the first two acts. And then in the third act, I got it even more. I have a boss fight. This is basically a video game made live action. And surprisingly, I found that they added a little bit more depth than I thought they would in that final act. So I was happy about that. So what I'm saying is that Bill Skarsgård revenge story in theaters, I would rather you go out and see Boy Kills World than Crow. And that's just based on the trailer. But this is bad. This is the feelings. Crow looks bad.
Crow looks bad.
Might be a 10 out of 10.
Has way a lag. Actually, you could think of it. I know it's a lame, lazy comparison. I see people compare it to John Wick. It's just because a film has a ton of action and it's revenge, everybody says that. But I think that it's well done. John Wick is its own thing, and this can be its own thing. And this thing is hyper stylized. It's comic book. It's funny. It's jokey. At times cringy. Some of the sequences and the plot points didn't work for me, and it was kind of wavering in the second at one plot point in the second act when Boy is imagining his sister and they're making jokes like butterfly ninjas. Like, it was like, this kind of writing, I don't like this. But it managed to get me right back and draw me back into the film, and then surprised me in the third act with some more depth that I didn't expect. But the martial arts is on full display here. The boy is trained by this mysterious shaman who is played by Yayan Ruhian, who I've seen him in before. I think he's in The Raid.
Yes.
I recognized him. And that crew, who are expert martial artists, put their stuff on full display. And so if you go in expecting somewhat thin characters, but tons of blood-soaked action, intensity, a bunch of jokes thrown at you, some working really, really well where I laughed out loud, and some like cringy theater kids kind of stuff. You know what I mean? I don't know how to put it, but I use theater kids, and that's not an insult. I was a theater kid, and I went, I was in some productions in middle school. Thank you very much. Anyways, so I actually enjoyed it, and although our theater is empty, if you're looking for an action comedy kind of thriller, John Wick style comic book movie that follows video games. In fact, there's plenty of video game references. This one is worth seeing in theaters, in my opinion. What did you guys think of Boy Kills World?
I like this one. If you're looking for something to watch this weekend, you should definitely check this out. It's like a good popcorn and beer kind of movie. You won't be disappointed with some of the action scenes. The comedy is hit and miss, like you said. I do like how they added a little extra step with the narration by H. John. Yes, Benjamin.
Let me ask you this
Bob's
real quick.
Burgers, baby.
There you go.
Yes.
That's what I was about to say. I couldn't separate it at first. But as it went on, I grew accustomed to it. But I
Yeah.
kept thinking Bob.
Yeah.
Oh, I just thought if you think Archer the whole time, then
That
it makes
too.
way more
It was
sense.
like doing both, but-
Wow, that's right. He does a combination of them both.
Yeah.
But I like that. I like that little extra thing they put on there. And obviously, the story's paper thin. It is what it is.
Revenge
It had some
story,
pretty good fight scenes. So I would say, check this one out. I still liked Monkey Man. I like Monkey Man a little bit better.
Okay, all right.
It's almost...
Okay, speaking of Monkey Man, I actually think I might like this one better than Monkey Man. The reason being, it's not quite as bloated and long. It doesn't sag in the middle. It keeps things... the pacing is a lot better. And I actually think the fights and the gore in this one are a little bit better than Monkey Man. I guess basically Monkey Man was what I thought this film was, where it's like he starts and it's nonstop. So
yeah, for me, I get that. For Monkey Man, should have trimmed out some of the fat, but I still want to know some more. I wanted to see some more of that story, but.
I forgot what I gave Monkey Man. I need to start writing the scores in the description.
You probably
I'm gonna
gave
do
it
that.
an 8.
You'll have to remind me, or maybe
spoilers. You put spoilers in the description.
Well, I'll hide it under
the thing.
The jump.
I fucking loved half of this movie. I think half of this movie is fucking excellent, and then there's like a quarter of it that was like, all right, I kind of like it, and then I barely tolerated another quarter. I think that this movie starts off. There's some cringe in the beginning, but it's surprisingly funny. Like they use humor very well. A lot of the time in this, I mean, there is some of I think any of the little sister stuff isn't particularly well done.
That's where I was like, I kind of rolling my eyes. Oh, he's imagining a butterfly ninja, and I'm like, stop it, theater kid, weird.
We had already done so much cool imagination stuff where it's kind of a plot point that he doesn't always know what is truly going on, and like that's
I like that.
There was some of the stuff that was working really really well, and then I think it was the and more situation where they just didn't know when to stop, and I think that's kind of why it fell apart for me towards the very end of the movie, where it's like we had already gone hyper stylized comic book level violence where it is totally unbelievable. I'm on, like, let's go and then they just keep like, well, what if we take it even harder? What if we go bigger? And it's like it gets to the point where it's like now you were at a point where it is so outside of the realm of believability that I'm like, okay, can we get to the next thing, please? Fortunately, the story does continue to develop in the third act. I don't think if the story had not continued to develop in the third act, I think I would have maybe not
checked out a little more.
Out like really hard. Yeah. So I think that
I like that nugget, and I think you're referring to the same nugget I was. Yeah. I think it's based on, but I like the hyper violent stylized action. I almost said ultraviolet. Remember that shit with Mila Jovovich? Y'all never saw it, didn't you? It's like was it a vampire thing or something? Anyway, sorry. Go ahead.
So I think that this movie is pretty good. I think that if you're looking for an action movie, I would say go see the Ministry of Ungentlemanly Warfare. If you haven't seen that one, I think that's a much better film than this one. But this one is still, especially if you're having a couple beers, like this can be a fun time.
I think they're two different films, and if you're forced to choose one, probably that one first. But if you do want more gore, more action, and comic book and video games, then instead of Gentlemanly, I would recommend this one. So, okay. Well, relatively simple story. Some great jokes that land. He is deaf and mute. And so he has to lip read. And one of my favorite things is this character who has a big ass beard, and when he talks, he mumbles, and so the boy has no idea what he's saying, but he will say stuff like, go robot bow tie biscuit. And he's like, wait, what? Did I hear that right? But what's funny is he imagines the scene of the go-go robot bow tie biscuit. And I'm like, yes, this is amazing. And that happens multiple times. And also, it feels as if our Script Doctor series, it's like, well, that doesn't quite make sense. No, I wouldn't say Script Doctors, because it goes so far in its over-the-top action. It's like, okay, you're missing quite a bit with the bullets and shit. What I mean to say is that, like, plot points are a little unexpected. When you go into the gala and the dinner and the villain is there and at the dinner table and you just rush in, and they kind of do these things where it's more realistic, and that seems weird to say, when he's in these situations, when things kind of unfold. It doesn't unfold as if it's all pre-written to be a perfect action sequence, so to speak. And then the improvisation from that point, and then knowing what we know about the characters, like this guy is, like, it's his sole purpose to kill the, what's the character's name? Famke Janssen
Heidi?
character.
Xena on the top.
Was it Heidi?
Hilda van der
There's someone with
Kooi.
an H. Yeah.
A sole purpose to kill her, and so he's going to, everything about him is like wanting to go and do that, and so the sequences unfold in an entertaining way. And even though I saw it coming from a mile away, this specific character who is the head of security, no spoilers, I saw a lot of these plot points kind of unfolding. However, it wasn't disappointing. It unfolded, and it was still an entertaining watch. So the action is great. The acting is great. This apparently was filmed in Cape Town. So, of course, we get our obligatory appearance from, we'll get his name, Charito Copley.
Yeah.
Basically, the South African guy that's in every South African production. He's like a star over there. So he gets his little cameo. And I like the hyper stylized world. They're trying to do kind of like a Hunger Games cross John Wick.
The culling.
And neither of those elements are as good as those franchises, right? So obviously John Wick is better, and then obviously the world building and the lore of the Hunger Games is more fleshed out here, because you're like questioning, well, how did this happen? That doesn't fucking matter, okay? It's an oppressive regime. He killed his family. This guy, this boy who has no name, is just referred to as a boy the whole film, just fucking, goes and gets his revenge, and that was satisfying to me. So let's go final verdicts.
I'm probably gonna give this one a 6. I gave the other one 7. Ministry is 7. Monkey Man is 7.
Gee,
So
boy.
I like this one.
Slightly above average.
Yeah,
okay.
'cause,
Remember our scale. Please remember
those are better
our scale.
movies.
We are harder on things as it should be. Okay, we're not IGN where everything is it's
10,
like is a
9.
10. Well, no, sometimes they have average like. Sidetracked again.
Okay,
our
yeah.
scale is different.
5 is average.
Yes. So it's above average. I gave it a 6. I like the other 2 movies better. I like the beginning where he's training, a little montage. It's pretty funny. He's like, all right, we're going to train, but we're also going to give you some drugs. So
there's plenty of,
I like the visions
visuals,
and
the
stuff like that.
smoke,
But like you said,
wild stuff.
the world building was not even existing. You didn't really care about the world. You didn't really care about these characters as much. Yeah, you like the bearded guy, but he's just there for like comical
I
effect.
love the bearded guy.
Yeah, he's. But do you remember his
My
name?
2
No, of
favorite
course not.
characters
Yeah,
is the beard. Well, I don't need his name to enjoy him. He's the bearded guy and the boy. Those are my favorites.
Yeah, some cringy parts, but overall, I think you're still gonna have a good time with this one. So I would say a 6. Yeah.
Yeah, I think that the first half of this movie, I love the first half of this movie. I think it's so good that it's probably worth the price of admission. I think that there's a portion of the movie that I think that once we get past the television event is where I really start to not appreciate the combat. I like the television event. After that, it just goes to an area where it's like, man, we were already so in this heightened violence thing where he's dodging bullets and it's fine, but then 40 dudes with fully automatic machine guns pointing at him, and he's got a butter knife, and it's like, come on, do we really need
Zigzag?
And then it just gets bigger and bigger and bigger, and it's like, okay.
Yeah.
So I do think this is an above average. I don't know if it's between a 6 or 7. I do like it, but I think it just really kind of sagged. I think I'll go with a 7 because I did like the first half so much. But I was really disappointed with the kind of the action towards the end. I think that they needed to have someone kind of pull them back and just say, look, this is the world that we've established. It can be a heightened world. It can be a more exaggerated everything. But they just kept building the exaggeration to a point where my level was here. And once they crossed that, it's like, everything was so big already. Why did we have to go bigger? We don't always have to go bigger. So,
Well, my level was here, so I actually think that the action gets even better in the third act. So the shooting sequence you were talking about didn't bother me as much, but then the final battle, the final boss sequence paid off in dividends. It was excellent, and it kept going and going, and this is skills on full display. I very much enjoyed it, and I started leaning more towards, yeah, fuck the story, fuck the characters. This is just martial arts.
Yeah.
See, we're talking like a good kung fu film. So if you like good kung fu films with a little bit of gun kata, a little bit of ridiculousness, comic book, I think I
Cripple
forgive
Masters.
more things because of the
It's a
graphic
great
novel
one.
and the video game style. The voice that he has, actually, why it sounds so trailer, player 2 fight, is because it was from his favorite video game that he played with his sister. So, and I think the story and the thing in the third act really helped raise the film to a new level. I felt some emotion even towards the end, so I like that very much. And so I'm going to go with an 8 out of 10, and I'm going to recommend that you see it in theaters. But this is definitely one that's an enjoyable watch on Netflix when it eventually comes out on things, because I think the theatrical run is going to be very short. I think it's going to underperform, sadly. I think it's going to be a failure. And it does seem like perhaps there's potential to start a franchise. They don't really cut off the story and then you don't have the payoff. There's payoff here, and there is somewhat potential to do a sequel, but I don't think the world building was good enough to do it. So I think it's just fine as a one and done revenge story.
Yes.
And if you're a fan of the video games and graphic novels and some excellent martial arts on display by Yayan Ruian, the shaman, and Bill Skarsgård, man, he does fucking great. That man is in shape, bristling muscles.
Well, he's got
but
the Crow
not
coming up.
Exactly. So he must have started here, and he was like, well, shit, this is easy. I will take that role because I'm already in shape from this film. And he's not a 80s action star where it's bulking muscles. He's more like a Bruce Lee where he's very slender and sleek and can get around.
You need to be sleek to move that fast.
Yeah. So really, really fun. Go out and see this one. It is one of those hidden gems. I honestly think it has potential to be a cult classic or a cult hit where it does terrible in theaters and then does a little bit better on streaming and other services when people don't have to go out and make a day of it to go and see it. So I like this one. So we'll go into the spoiler section. Thank you so much for watching, and we will see you in the spoilers. Hey guys, welcome to the spoiler section. Now make sure that you've seen the film before because I think this reveal is effective. It is telegraphed. I do see it coming.
Yeah.
There's one character in here that's a hot chick. Well, she's got a great midriff, right? And she shows it off there.
She must work out.
She's got some abs and a great figure. And then her helmet gets knocked off, and it is a girl. And he's fighting her at one point, gets distracted from his inner child, his inner sister, who he thought had been murdered when they originally put his whole family on trial in this kind of culling situation. And so he has this gumption to destroy, to fucking kill this leader chick and all of her henchmen and head honchos. And as he's attacking them, this chick starts fighting him. I'm like, that's gonna be his sister, isn't it? You guys, right?
Yeah. I mean,
and obviously it is.
Yeah, like there's the imaginary sister thing I think was pretty poor the entire time, and its inclusion ruins the fucking reveal.
I wish it would have been better if you're gonna do it, but maybe I don't think it was even necessary.
I don't think it was. There was nothing clever. Like they had flashbacks where it lets you realize how important his sister was. They had this map he carries with him. You get it. Like you get how important his sister is. And then maybe they just really liked the actress and she did fine. It's just I didn't think she
Yeah.
She's detracting from every scene that she was in, other than the macaron
little
scene. Which
action
I was
scene.
about to say the macaron
Joe,
scene
I knew
was
it. I knew
the
Joe
best
sitting next to me
part.
was
I was
going
like,
to be. This is the best part because Joe loves macarons.
I was like, yeah, because he's walking by and I see the plate. I was like, oh, grab some, and he
doesn't-
she knocks him onto the floor in
He
a
doesn't know
flashback scene.
anything
I was
about
like,
macarons, finds the macarons, and turns into OtherJoe for a minute, and that's it.
He's just like chilling. He takes a bite.
I
And
thought
his
that
light,
would get
his
Joe
eyes
to a
light up.
7 out of 10 just for that alone. Darn it. Yeah. So this is the sister character. She's mad at him, beats him up. They don't kill him instantly, even though he's a great fighter. Takes out an entire squad. Does some impressive fight scenes. Eventually does get captured. And they do the thing where one of the generals, the brother character, is just sick and tired of all this shit. And he's sick and tired of being ordered around. His sister's just fucking running amok.
they're murdering innocent civilians now. They're not even enemies of the state anymore. And he's like, look, we're just grabbing random people on the street, lying about them.
Not
And
cool
he's
with
tired
that.
of it.
So he wants it to end. So instead of killing him, he's like, I'll tell you what, let's see how far you can go. And he slips a knife into his pocket, which later on, the elder sister comes up. She's the PR lady and does all the marketing and does the calling and is the real genius behind everything or whatever, in her opinion. And because later in this the film, as the boy is fighting through squads and freeing people, he meets one guy named, Blasto? Basho. And, he's like, I'll help you. And he does absolutely nothing. He's like, I'm going to do cart stuff while you fight. And he does all the impressive fighting. And it's so fun and endearing because the boy is like, really? We're on a team? Like, oh, I've never been on a team before. And he's just happy to be on a team, but the Basho's doing nothing.
I was waiting for him to do something because that guy's really talented martial artist. He's in a ton of shit, like modern shit. And so it's like, all right.
No, in this one, he plays a resistance member that he has a limp, is not a great fighter. He can shoot pretty well later on, we find out. But yeah, so this brother character basically allows him to break out in this big sequence that we have the cereal sponsor, which was a little awkward. I get the endearing thing. Him and his sister used to, one of the better times they had is having cereal every morning, and they fucking loved this cereal. And it turns out that this cereal sponsors the calling at just that moment. So it's like this this crazy payoff, but he's able to free himself, and with him and Basho and Basho's friend, his name is Benny, a resistance member who mumbles, and there's a great sequence where they're making a plan on the fucking thing, and Benny's like, okay, so and he's regurgitating these weird words, and so he's imagining what the plan would be. It's fucking awesome. I really liked it.
like
Almost worth the price for admission there. Yeah, and so eventually when he gets to the top, the big reveal, the big spoiler and big secret is that his mom was killed. And he remembers his mom as a resistance member. She's like loading guns and stuff. And that's why his mom was killed and his sister was killed. Turns out that that's not what happened. He gets to the highest heights, and in the top level, he looks at all the pictures on the wall, and it hits him that he is a part of this family. So the mother, his mother, is the big bad guy, Hilda, that he's been brainwashed to kill from the shaman character, who we thought the shaman was just this mysterious, martial artist who helped him to get revenge for his dead mother. Well, it turned out all the fucking times that he's like doing drugs with this fucking 10-year-old kid is to brainwash him, and turns out he was the one that his mother put the gun in his hand and had him shoot the shaman's family. And I like this complexity and this reason for the shaman character to be so fervent And when the boy is fighting, he will constantly flash back to moments of his mother getting killed, moments of his sister, that gives him that fucking extra amped nitro energy to kill people. And I just imagined that when that final boss battle, when it was the shaman versus him and his sister, is the final boss battles, you know, we're in the spoilers, that the shaman was thinking about his dead wife. And I would have liked it for them to sprinkle some of those scenes, because these two were just fucking going at it, you know.
I was like, I could go for either one. I see their cause.
Right, I see both causes.
It's
So
like,
I
that's
like
the
that.
guy who
I
shot
like
your
that
family.
little complexity. But anyway, so the mother has the kid shoot his whole family, but you can tell that it affects the kid, and he's like, and he runs away. He didn't want to do it, and because the mother's like killed the father too, the shaman, and he just goes no, and he like shoots everywhere, and the shaman runs away. So the kid gets lost in the forest as he runs away, and it turns out it's in the same spot as the shaman. The shaman's like, notice, I'm gonna beat that fucking kid's ass. He literally just shot my wife, my daughter, and so he's beating this fucking kid. And but then he kind of like has this fucking genius idea in order to use this kid and brainwash him to send him against the family. So I love that reveal. What about you guys? Any spoilers you want to talk about?
No, I mean that was an important thing.
That was basically the main plot.
I didn't. There's a scene where now the sister is the one that actually kills the mom, right?
Yeah.
So it's not him. So the sister realizes that this is the brother. She's actually been looking for him her whole life because she never believed that he was actually dead. Mm-hmm. So she pulls out her axe and kills her own mother.
Yeah. So I was a little confused at how quick of a turn she did. You would think that because she's been killing for the family the whole time as the motorcycle LED helmet, that she'd be a little bit more brainwashed herself. But it turns out she's able to snap out of it and immediately axes Famke, you know, in the face. But I was questioning, I was like, wait. So all the times that she was like that, which she does this thing where she's flicking people off, but she's doing 5 fingers, and her brother thinks it's funny, and so they're both flicking off her mother 5 fingers. And I was like, was that even real?
I think so, because they're mad at the mom.
Because they're mad at the mom for being such an oppressive, regime.
Yeah, that's how I felt with those quick turnarounds with her and the brother too. Because I thought the brother was like, okay, well, I'm just mad at her. I need to control her.
The gold chain brother.
Yeah.
I bought his turn a little more than I bought like hers, even though she's the central character that leads the whole fucking plot, right?
Famke's turn was the worst for me, where she's like, she finally realizes that her son has not been dead this entire time, and she immediately is like, oh, I can't believe she I guess they haven't realized that he's a mute and he's deaf, and then he's not responding for 30 seconds. She's like, kill him.
Yeah.
Like, immediately. She's just like, oh, I found my son and then she's like, well, let's not get him into therapy because he's been brainwashed for years. She even's like, oh, you've been brainwashed for years. You're finally home. Kill him.
When she's making an appeal to him, and it's a very emotional appeal, and she does it for a while, and then, she realizes that's not your brother anymore. Well, I just kind of attributed that to her being a fucking crazy-ass paranoid bitch, and, you know, she is kind of losing her mind. Yeah. She's seeing the shaman everywhere, and when she's up on the stage in front of everybody, she's going off script, and the other sister's like, God damn it. Yeah. So I just loved, some of the characters and pulling out the shotguns and people just killing people on a whim, unexpectedly.
Yeah, it's a lot of dumb fun. It was enjoyable to watch.
Yeah.
Definitely dumb fun.
Yeah.
Okay. Another surprising thing, the world building is not as good as other things that we talked about. Here's why. Is like, if the crowds are already kind of revolting at so the first scene, the first calling that we get after the boy has trained and he feels like he's ready and he goes out there to the calling, but one of the audience members is screaming at the husband of the PR lady, and he loses his cool and he fucking shoots her, and you see the whole crowd start to fight back.
He misses and shoots somebody else.
Some random dude.
Right. He's like, sorry, it was an accident.
And that's what the crowd gets fucking pissed off over. The world building is so thin here, you know, that it's like, oh, they go along with it because these people are actually the resistance. But by that point, the resistance was already mostly stamped out, so the crowd knows that these people are innocent. And when he shoots another innocent person, then the crowd is pissed off enough to start to fight back. And I was like, well, if it's teetering on that, then their whole empire could crumble at any point. And maybe that's the point that they're making, that the boy shows up right when everything can crumble.
Yeah, that's what I was thinking about that too, because like one of the girls is like, "Oh, the culling! I fucking love the culling. It's the best thing ever."
Crazy.
Yeah, and then
she gives him a flower.
The soldiers come in, start hanging out lollipops and stuff. I'm like, okay,
blasting
well,
on
what?
the speakers, propaganda.
Yeah.
I like that. That's like that hyper stylized Mad Max kind of weird bullshit.
But I still wanted more for the story, for the
world
city.
building.
Yeah,
the
the
world
city,
building
what's
could have
going
been more
on.
solid.
The sister dismembers an innocent dude and like kills all these innocent people that she knows are innocent, and then at the end she's like, she's a good guy.
No
and
kids.
She's eating cereal.
She's eating
They
cereal.
didn't kill kids though.
So I should have mentioned there is a post credit scene, but there was no point in waiting for it. You could just read about it. But now that you're in the spoiler section, it doesn't matter. You wouldn't know about it unless you've already seen the film, which you probably actually walked out because I didn't think there would be one. I thought that the comic strip, so at the end, the brother and the sister, team up together. Sister kills the mother character. The fucking old bitch gets away, so she's still alive. And she runs
with her
up.
mangoes?
With her mangoes. Eat your mangoes, Grandma.
I don't think she's a threat.
No, she's not a threat. And then they go into the elevator to get out of there. And she's like, the only way to get out of here is the way you came in. And so that's what creates the sequence where we have tons of gunfire. So that goes from the kung fu, and this is more gun kata, where they're fighting, and they're fighting fucking like 50 guys. And after they kill those 50 guys, then a super armored guy comes, video game style, and he fights. And then a minigun guy comes behind him, and they use that super armored guy versus the minigun.
And then helicopters, and then tank.
Yeah.
What? Oh, the Division, Joe.
Yeah.
The final boss is a helicopter. No, it was just the minigun. And then once they get past that, they get on the elevator. And, they're really tired, and the elevator's going. Then it stops, and it comes back down. And I was like, okay, that's a plot hole. How the fuck did that happen?
The shaman,
I guess the shaman knows all the control centers and is
Did
able
you
to...
not know he ripped
out.
the button control panel,
the
and he's an
wires.
expert hacker?
Oh, we did see the wires.
Yeah.
On
So-
you guys are fucking hyper attentive. So you're right. The wires are hanging, but how does that happen?
He's
that
a
it makes
shaman.
it
He
stop?
blew drugs
That's-
into the elevator shaft, and it's like, yeah.
Fuck. And then the elevator
It's
got
like,
confused. When I
whatever.
was a child, I was going down, so I need to go down. So the elevator goes down, and then he pops out. He's like, you did well. They have a sign language communication that's their own language. And at first, he doesn't fight. I wanted this to be a little more accentuated, where the sister's like, come on, okay, fine, you can't do it, I'll do it for you. And then she doesn't say none of that. She just goes, I'm going to kick your fucking ass. And then she goes after him, and the boy doesn't help. I'm like, get your fucking ass up. Like, the whole fucking point was to save your sister. And this shaman, you know how dangerous he is. He could have killed her at any fucking moment.
Yeah,
and he
and-
doesn't help until... he thinks she dies?
Yeah, and then it's even worse than that, because this is not an adoptive father. The shaman abused the shit out of him, like refused to feed him.
And he should realize that now.
Yeah, and so it's like, this is not a point where it's like, oh, no, I'm having conflicted feelings. Like, no, he's been a dick literally the entire movie, so there should be no block to go beat his ass.
Yeah, I agree. Obviously, complex feelings it don't work that way for everybody, so I could buy it, but it needed to be set up a little bit more through the dialogue where the sister's like,
should've
what's
been more
wrong
set
with
up,
you?
yeah.
And he's like, something like that. And he's like, and maybe as flashbacks, he's trying to choose which reality is real.
Yeah, because he said, look,
He does have the moment where he's like, caught in between two worlds, and he defines the word because he reads the dictionary all the time. I forget which word he used, so he might have just been fucking confused. And in fact, his sister's like, "What's wrong with you?" At one point in the elevator. So this is the added depth that I really liked. That reveal, and then fighting his former master, and boy, they go at it. And this scene felt like it was straight ripped out of one of the raid scenes. They probably had...
I think he would have died with that cut.
Yeyan Ruhian, he probably choreographed this whole fucking sequence.
The boy should have died, though.
It was amazing. Yeah, go ahead, Joe.
The boy should have died because he had a razor claw. Cut him all the way down right here.
Yeah,
and
but
then all the way down.
it's just,
down his thigh.
It's not very sharp claw. Okay, it didn't go
Did
very
you not
deep.
see the close-up
By
on that
this
bad
point,
boy?
we're in a hyper, realistic world. That's not.
Yeah, I was checked out of combat where it's like nothing mattered. Like
we
the guy
just got through, Joe. That's when it broke for you.
Yeah,
It
he
should
wasn't-
have broke
he
where
wasn't
Alex
bleeding.
broke where
He
a
wasn't
goddamn chain
bleeding.
gun.
You just see the cut, but he wasn't
It
bleeding.
wasn't deep enough, Joe.
So Bill Skarsgård is a giant man, right? And so this other guy, tiny man, and they're both very well trained. At one point, Bill Skarsgård grabs him and slams his head into the concrete, and I was like, "That's exactly how that would work." But then the old man who just had his brain smushed in gets back up,
Flips, does a flip
and it was
back.
just like, "All right." So look, I like the final battle
He was on
was
drugs.
silly. Like the last thing I'll say about the action is if that the gun hallway scene hadn't been out there, I could see going up a couple points. But that shit was.
Thank you. Alex.
I believe
Thank
that
you.
though, because the
And
shaman
there
was
is
on
one
drugs. He was on drugs.
Yeah,
they-
drugs are cool.
They do make a point. One previous guy, what was his name? Dave? Dave has
He was
issues.
crazy.
That was the
Yes.
first fight. This fucking nerd guy with glasses, you're like, he's not gonna do nothing. And he
Holy
fucking
shit.
he goes crazy. And he's like, he fucking rips his own. He like fucking does several hops.
He won't die.
And
He's
bone
breaking
break
his
to
own
break
wrist.
his own hand, his own fucking arm off, rip his arm off to continue to fight. And I was like, oh, he's on that motherfucking drugs. So stuff like that, this stuff sticks in your mind, and it's really, really cool. So, yeah, I really like the gore, the martial arts, and the comic book video game style. You could clearly tell the video game is supposed to be Street Fighter 2, but it's like Super Fighter 2. It is a sequel. So ultimately, she snaps to. They fight together. They fight the shaman together. She gets her ass beat, and it appears as
'Cause her
if
brother
she's
didn't help
dead.
her?
Exactly.
He's a
That's why I was
fucking
mad at
asshole.
him. He does eventually go and help.
Once he
but
thinks
they-
she's dead.
or at least knocked out quite a bit. At any moment, she could have been killed. So you had to approach them together. It's like the fucking moment when Anakin goes at Count Dooku. It's like, don't! And he just fucking runs after him. And
And
it's
he
like,
doesn't
you-
pick up. There's 100
you
guns on the
fucking
floor.
dumbass.
He just shot him in the leg. So
Yeah, I
mad.
kept thinking, oh, he's going to get shot by somebody at some point because they're not going to be able to take him together. But here's a moment I really liked, and I think I felt this emotion. Whereas I knew the purpose of the little girl character who's in his mind, who shows up as the butterfly ninja, who shows up, oh, she's hot. When her helmet falls off, it's her, and it's distracting her because she doesn't want to die, and all these other things.
The pushing down scene.
The pushing down scene is the one that I was like, I felt that, because that's like, and it gives even more context to the girl character too. It's his fucking trauma. So it's the trauma of this boy who is in the costume of just training with that shaman, getting fucking brainwashed and his ass beat every
His
fucking
tongue cut
day.
out.
Tongue cut out.
He puts a hot poker through his
ears.
ears to deafen him.
And he gives him that extra strength, and it's just visually presented in the best way that they're able to shove it down and fucking kill the shaman. The shaman is killed with his own little fucking talons, and I loved it.
Maybe I'm
That's where the
misremembering the last
points went up.
The last time we had that vision. So the vision right before that of the little girl, was it? It's like, no, don't kill him. He's helping us.
Yes.
Okay, and then next thing he's like, let's kill him.
No, but that was his self.
Okay.
So it wasn't the girl; it was the boy. It was his own child, like his own
It's
inner
his
child.
trauma.
Yeah.
And it was
Okay.
just as the girl, showing up as the girl, basically.
Okay.
But Bill Skarsgård weighs a lot. He was
Oh,
all you
yeah.
have to do is lean down, and it's over.
Okay, so the ways the family dies. The husband has this funny death because, and he's not really a part of the family, but he married into the family. He's like, he realizes after the first battle where all the squad members are dead, and he meets Basho, and Basho's like trying to get information out of him. So he's holding this big fucking, I don't know,
Bench vice over his head.
bench vice, and he's explaining. He has this realization. He's like, I can't do nothing, and she dresses me, and this family's terrible. You know what? I'm gonna help you. In fact,
I'm
we're gonna
gonna
go there
change.
together, and then boom.
Yeah.
He accidentally
I knew it was gonna happen,
sweaty
but
palms.
it's funny.
It is telegraphed, but it still has a good payoff. So he dies. Who's the next character death?
That's the PR lady. She gets her extreme close up.
Aha, for a smile for the camera, bitch, and fucking slams. See, this one I didn't understand because the background looked normal, like she's just sitting in a chair and he walks by her. But then when the camera slams into her, I guess I need
the
to be looking
spikes.
at the background because it lifted
up.
up.
Yeah, because it's
Okay.
like had the little spikes on the camera, and then
fucking
just shoot from there.
killed her, and then she like falls off it. So that's cool.
Then off with your
and
head.
that whole sequence with the snowy fucking winterland and kill, I loved it because at that moment the boy, while he attempts to fight, he gets out because of the other family member that gave him the tool. He does get overpowered, and he is about to be killed because you've got one person on each of his limbs. It's like, how are you going to get out of this? And I didn't know how, and it was the motherfucking goat who
it's all part of the master plan.
Basho, and it turns out that just so happened to link up to the nonsense plan that he had learned about. So it's kind of that I'll allow it because it's so hilarious.
Well, yeah, I mean, and that's like, I think it's like kind of believable for how crazy everything kind of had been up to this
That's
point.
the good kind.
And if like, it's like this is the fight where I was like, cool, this is the work, and then all we have to do now is fight the shaman, and everything's over. And they're again, no one's restraining these people. They're like, we're gonna go bigger. We're gonna go bigger. It's like, please just fucking restrain yourself.
Yeah.
I didn't mind that they didn't restrain themselves. So then we do that. Oh, and in the control room, the guy's laughing the whole time, the brother character, because he doesn't give a fucking shit, and he likes this stuff going down. What is his name? Gideon. Brett Gelman plays as Gideon.
Okay.
And he tells, Melanie that whatever, and then she gets a fucking gun and points it at his back, and we don't actually see it, but she shoots him in the back. And later on, he's, laying down and he's coughing. He's like, hey, you don't get the boss battle, huh? And I was like, fuck, we don't get the boss battle, but luckily they pay it off. We get the shaman boss battle. Anyway, he gives him the key to go ahead, because without that key, he's not going to be able to get into the bunker where his mom's at. So he had a change of heart at the last minute, and Gideon helps the boy. And then he dies. Oh, right. He dies via the sword, because that's when Joe was mentioning the little girl says, don't kill him. He's helping us. And he's like, I don't need you anymore. And kills.
I don't know why you needed him in the first place.
Right.
Get away, little girl.
Yeah. I wish it wasn't there. I think it would have improved the film. Or if you're going to include it, it has to be written better. And you know.
I can do without that one, but yeah.
Yeah. Okay. And then what else?
And
then Famke.
Then the mom dies.
The sister kills that one.
And we see in the picture that the husband has been scratched out. So you're like, well, where's the husband? Well, it's revealed in the backstory that the shaman and his family were actually resistance fighters, training people, and managed to kill the husband at some point in the past. So if they do want to continue it with a sequel, which I don't think this will make enough money, if it made enough money in a wacko world where they made $500 million, then yeah, they're gonna make a sequel. And how would they do it? It would be worse, because they would have to say, "Oh, well, the husband came back. He wasn't really dead." Or you can use the grandma, and she's also in the photo. But
this is all Lionsgate.
She sucks on mangoes. It's a joint production between Lionsgate and Hammerstone and Sam Raimi and Vertigo Entertainment and Roadside Attractions.
So like Lionsgate only has the John Wick, that's it. And then they're like, well, we're going to make John Wick, and then we're going to do Ballerina as presented by John Wick, and we're going to do Nobody in the style of John Wick, and then we're going to do this other one like John Wick, and we're going to do this other one. Like, that is all.
And then there's this other one that's being made, so let's give them some money, and our name can be on this one. Yeah. Again,
so it's like I could definitely see them either trying to do another one where it's, Boy Kills World 2, but it's something completely different, and because Bill Skarsgård's probably too expensive, but that's what Lionsgate does.
Yeah, you're right, but please don't. This is one and done. Does not need a sequel. I think it works better as a story, because it starts with them eating cereal, and this is how they were happy. Their family were pieces of shit, but they bonded, brother and sister, over eating cereal and hanging out. And at the end of the film, after the credits, they're hanging out, eating cereal, even though she's a mass murderer. And he's a mass murderer, but only bad guys. So she's kind of a piece of shit, and but a rehabilitated piece of shit.
What she looks like, so she's fine.
Right.
Everyone knows what
his face looks like. He's not enjoying the cereal, because that's what being a grown up. You start eating that cereal, and you're like, oh.
I did notice that, and I thought, wait, are they looking at somebody off screen? But I think it's like maybe they're supposed to be contemplating all the people they killed, and there's a little bit of emotional. Or what Alex said, the cereal.
Well, he kept, like your cereal gets soggy after a little while, and he also pours it like he's not a human being. It's like, what are you doing?
He's not. He was
I guess.
Born in the jungle now.
But he wasn't born in the jungle.
Well, they made him forget everything.
How to pour cereal?
Forget everything he knows.
for everything you know about pirates.
And let's see. Yeah, that's about it. Oh, Basho gets killed. He gets shot with the PR lady's big ass automatic shotgun. But I loved his character. And his friend Benny also dies. And he says, as his dying words, he goes, "Golden toe jam." I was like, I just fucking loved it. I loved all the things that he said and all the little scenarios. And I can't remember any of them except for Go-Go Robot Bow Tie Biscuit and
Cutting off the farmer
Golden
feet.
toe jam.
I like that one.
Something, cutting off farmer
The
feet.
farmer has a little straw. He's like,
It's like, wait, somebody's cutting farmer feet? What? Then we're going to cut off the farmer feet. What? You need to see it, man. I think you'll enjoy it. All right, guys.
That's it.
That's it. Okay. And then at the end, they do the comic book style where they get out and they have adventures and shit like that. And
Instead of taking over the empire and being good.
they should take over the empire and be good. You got to kill the mango grandma and make sure that the husband is dead, and then bring the people into enlightenment. All right. Well, thank you guys so much for watching, and we will see you guys on the next Angry Joe Show. Bye, guys.